Woe to you, O earth and sea.
It's the Hop Nation
USA Podcast.
It's episode 209 of the Hop Nation USA Podcast. And if you have a really trained ear, you can tell that we're on Zoom this week. Now, we said we would only use this in certain occasions, and this is one of those certain occasions, and we'll explain why. But first, I am joined by my co-host, Adam.
Yes, I am glad to be back again. Steve, I didn't have to give you a ride this week to our local brewery, so I got to stay in my living room, and I'm happy about that, and I'm ready to go for this show. I'm psyched.
No driving this week. Also joining us all the way from North Carolina, you heard him on the episode that we did with John Dispenza from the Untapped podcast, but we are rejoined by Greg.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
All right.
So, and we'll explain why Greg's on the show in just a couple seconds, because this week we're going to be drinking all burial beers.
Yes.
And Greg has been our supplier for burial beers.
We call him the Connection.
Yes, he is the North Carolina Connection. He's been sending us a whole shitload of burial beers for the past couple weeks, and we've enjoyed that plenty. And we thought it was only apropos to invite him on this podcast because this week's guest is the genius behind all of the can art on burial cans. We are joined by David Paul Seymour.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going yourself?
Thanks for calling me a genius. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Say we can print that out and send that to you afterwards.
Yeah,
that direct quote.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that on my business cards.
Yeah. If you ever need that for a dust jacket or anything else, feel free to use it.
Okay.
But yes, this week we're going to be talking to David about all things art, and we'll be getting into heavy metal, and we'll be getting into all kinds of other things that I enjoy, and Adam and Greg can be along for the ride.
That's not saying this is a self-serving episode.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But these are definitely all things that we enjoy. But
Yeah.
Steve's definitely the leader of the pack on this one.
Right. But you guys do enjoy burial beer, so
Yes.
we can get into that. And we might as well just get into our first burial beer of the evening. Adam, why don't you introduce it?
All right.
It's more of your style.
It is. And of course, this is Burial. Everybody knows they're one of the prides of North Carolina, but this is their have everything and have nothing at all. It is a dry hopped Pilsner, clocks in at about 5.2% ABV. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see Steve's photography work right there. If not, just find us on social media. It'll be there later in the week. But taking a look at it, it's a good looking beer. It looks like a Pilsner. It's got a little bit of cloudiness to it. Full disclosure, I started drinking it before the show even started, and that's just the way I am. I see Pilsner, I start drinking it, and turns out, yeah, it's good. It does have a little bit more on the hop side. It is dry hopped, you would expect that, but it still maintains its Pilsneriness. It's still a good grass cutter. I like it. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, right.
Me liking burial beers.
Well, yeah. And also you just liking something double dry hopped.
Yes.
Because it's also dry hopped with Simcoe Cryo. So that's looking at something heavy, depending on how much they put in. Yeah, that could have got real dangerous. But also, who'd have thought me liking a Pilsner, because I enjoy it as well. The hop character on it covers up a lot of those cracker notes that I don't love in Pilsners.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of that dry breadiness. This is a really refreshing, easy drinking beer, and it finishes like dry enough. But yeah, I really enjoy it. And you mentioned the cloudiness already. It's probably because of the dry hopping.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the same clarity that you would just a plain Pilsner. And again, if you want to find photos of this, go to @HopNationUSA on all your favorite social medias. Adam didn't give out the name.
Well, see, you got to tease them a little bit and make them wait till the end. When you get
that is not how that works. No, that is not how it works with Gen Z or millennials. You have to give them everything up front. They want everything now. They're entitled. I know, because I'm a millennial.
Gotta make them work for it.
That's right. That's right.
Greg, are you drinking the same thing we are tonight?
I
There
absolutely.
you go. What are your thoughts?
It's good, but I'm an IPA guy, so anything hoppy, I'm satisfied with. No
Right on.
complaints here. It's Burial. How can you go wrong?
Yeah. Fair enough.
I mean, that's the best way you could surmise it right there.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it just, as far as like hoppiness, it falls just short of like what you would find with like a normal pale ale. But it still has like enough flavor that it surpasses what you would expect from a regular Pilsner. So yeah, good on them. And it's only like 5.2. So yeah,
Yeah,
put
it's
a
good
bunch
walking
down.
around beer.
Yeah.
I've not had an opportunity to try that one. I actually haven't gotten a chance to try a lot of the new stuff that's come out this year, just because I'm not able to. They had to turn off delivery to my state of Minnesota for the time being. I think while they sort that out. But man, I'd love to get my mouth around that. I like Pilsners actually. Like I drink a lot of them, probably more than anything. My big go-to is probably IPAs and doubles also, but man, I love Pilsners. It doesn't sound like that's a big thing with you guys, but yeah, I love it. We've got a couple of homegrown ones here in Minnesota that they've been making for 100 years. I call them grandpa antiques. They're awesome. But
We call them VFW beers.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's just kind of funny because like I'm not a big Pilsner guy, but Adam is a big Pilsner guy.
100%.
And Adam's not a big IPA guy, but I'm a pretty big IPA guy. So it's nice when we find a beer like this that kind of crosses both aisles for us. So yeah, we like this one.
And plus, when we get confirmation from Greg that it's good, I mean, that just says it all right there.
Yeah. Third party helps.
Yes.
But all right, well, let's move on and let's just dive in with David. As most people know, you are the, like I've already called you the genius. Let's see, what else can I say? Renaissance man. I can go with that because you're not just the artist for the burial cans, but you do a lot of other art across platforms for t-shirts, designs, album artwork. But can you give us kind of a brief backstory of like how you transitioned into art? Because I know you didn't start as an artist.
Well, actually, I've been drawing since I was old enough to know how to hold a pencil or what a pen in my hand. But yeah, I mean, I was in a bunch of bands in high school, and I was into skateboarding in high school, and got into drawing a lot through that, like and on into my 20s and into the 90s and whatever, and drawing for my friends' bands and bands that I was in, and we'd sit around scheming up crazy ass ways to make t-shirts because I wasn't in a day back then when in the 80s and 90s when all that stuff was even remotely affordable or easy to access or any of that kind of stuff, and computers didn't even exist, so it was really hard to translate artwork into something usable by somebody who could put it on a shirt and that kind of thing. So I kind of got into the band art thing pretty early on, again, like in high school, junior high school and onwards, and decided, so I got into architecture, and that's what I did for over 20 years. I was in that. I went to school for that. I got a degree in that and whatever. And I just got really tired of it, like most people do with most things they do for that long. I mean, I walked right into that kind of work, like even just drafting before I even had a degree. I mean, I graduated high school on a weekend and went to work drafting on a Monday, the next Monday, and was in that business for a really long time. And I just got really tired of it. So I just decided to like start drawing stuff for bands. I just wanted to do something as a hobby, It was like, I'm not going to take up golfing or some shit like that, And so I just wanted to draw stuff for bands, and I never expected to make a dime out of it or anything. I just wanted to do it for fun. So I was giving a lot of stuff away, and this was a little over 10 years ago. And, when I was still at my last day job and sitting in a cubicle, and I would go home at night and have dinner with my wife and kids, and then we'd clear off the dinner table, and I'd pull out a computer and some paper and start drawing stuff for bands, and I'd do that for about 3 or 4 hours a night. And then In the beginning it was, like just giving it away or whatever. And then I realized like some of them were actually like, no, we need to pay you something, and then so it just kind of kept growing. I kind of turned it from a hobby into a side business. And then, the world I was in my working world was really layoff prone, always has, always will be. And so, it was always like waiting for a layoff to come, and so me and a group of guys that I worked with got laid off. And I'd been doing so well with the drawing thing on the side with so little hours. I'm not having to go to meetings. I'm not having to take lunch breaks or deal with baloney. I just hit it and go. And so my wife said, hey, why don't you just keep doing that? I know how unhappy you've gotten being in that world. And I would have never done it if I wouldn't have got laid off. So I'm really, I was walking out the door with a big smile on my face my last day, because, I was like, you guys are doing me such a huge favor. Other guys were crying about it, wondering what they were going to do. And I felt bad for them, but I already knew what I was going to do. We had run out of work so much by that point that I would volunteer to leave early, because I'd run home and just start, extra time, before the kids got, I'd be cranking away drawing pictures, and these guys just hated me for that. Like, man, because I'd leave as soon I'd get there 2 hours, and they're like, I don't think we have anything to do today. Who wants to go home? And it'd be like, yeah, Seymour wants to go home, of course. Send him home. I'd race home and crank away. And it's funny, man, because there was years I would have dreams where I'd be back at that job, and I'd be like, what am I doing here? I got all these projects to work on. And this was years after I started working on this stuff and left that job behind. But I'd be dreaming I was there and was trying to get out of there because I had work to do at home. It's really funny. But that's how I got into it, as far as the profession goes. So.
Right on. That honestly sounds very similar to like a lot of brewers themselves. A lot of brewers start home brewing as a hobby, and then they just are tired with their engineering job. Or we talked to Sam at Mondays, and he was just looking for something to transition out of academia to do something else. So yeah, it's very cool that it has kind of that parallel. Can you tell us how you specifically started with Burial, though?
Yeah. So Tim Gormley, who's one of the co-owners and one of the three that started Burial, is Doug and Jess. They're a married couple. They own it as well. But Tim was kind of like that third guy, and I guess he was following me on Instagram for a good while because of the art I was doing for the band and stuff, and really dug that. And then I just remember one morning, it was, some stuff was going back and forth between him and I think Doug and Jess on Instagram. And they're like, this is a guy. And then it was, tagging them in a piece. Look at this one. Look at this one. Yeah, this is the guy, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, cool. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So they were like having this like conversation between the three of them almost on my posts, and I'm like, what is going on? And so I think before that day was even over, they reached out to me on like a conference call or something, and we kind of started chatting immediately about bringing me on board to do the artwork. And that was at a time when that was like 1 year in for them, or roughly just about a year, and they were still just a tap room. They had nothing in a bottle or can, or I think maybe they were doing some keg beer for the tap room to serve, but like they hadn't packaged a damn thing. And so they said, hey, we want to just hit the ground floor with you and just go, you know what I mean? And like and so the idea was like they wanted to bring me on and have me work with them to build a look. They already had a really pretty good idea of what they want, or they wanted that kind of edgy metal aesthetic, with a little bit of psychedelic, weirdness to it and all that. And they were like, you're just, perfect for the guy we were thinking of. And I signed a contract with them that week for exclusivity, and so I've been the only artist that you'll see occasionally, like a collab beer or something from maybe the other breweries artist once in a while will do it, but as far as burial stuff goes, I've been the only guy, and that's been really cool because the brand stayed consistent. The work for me has stayed there with them, and I've been able to kind of hone my craft as I've grown as they've grown, and we've grown together, and it's been a good relationship. Absolutely, obviously, 7-8 years on now. So, yeah, that's really the simple explanation, and it really was that simple. I mean, so yeah, it's been great.
That's awesome. So I have a question. Whenever they start in on a new beer, do they kind of feed you what the beer is and what the name is going to be of the beer, or do you kind of work back from your artwork with the name, or how does that process work whenever a new beer is being brought out and the label is being designed?
Right. It's a very controlled process. There's just like no room for error, and we don't have the time to let it get into a situation where it's kind of like floaty, or whatever. It's very controlled, very rigid, it's very time frame, centric. And so every midweek, every week we get on a call. I get on the call with the who's the art director now. I've been there working long enough where she's like the fourth one, I think. But I think she's going to stay for a long time. I hope, because she is just fantastic. Nothing about the other ones, but I don't think it was really. It started out. It was Jess who was doing that stuff. That's Doug's wife, one of the owners. And before long, it just got to where that was just something she couldn't take on anymore. There was too many other roles for her to have, so they brought somebody in, and she was great. They brought a firm from North Carolina in at one point, some outside guys, and they were great guys, but it didn't work out that great. But the gal who's there now, and I think it's been a couple of years, maybe she's been in that seat, but it's fantastic. Anyway, so we meet midweek once a week and get on a call, and we talk about the new projects. We have a project organizing hub that online that we funnel everything through and comment and whatever as the week goes on, as projects go. But yeah, it comes to me in a brief, and it's the name, it's the style, it's a lot of times the kind of like poetic copy that goes on for lack of a better phrase. But I get all that, and I get some loose art direction as far as like what Doug wants to see on the can, more or less. And sometimes I can be just absolutely specific. I mean, very, very specific. The guy, he kind of is, I think, the genius, not me. But he'll either have this is, I got to have it like this. I see this, and sometimes it's like, hey, I got this loose idea, and I'm gonna leave the rest up to you. And so it could go either way. And honestly, I love that, because honestly, if I had to come up with 3 beer designs every week on top of all the band stuff that I do, I don't know. And he's like an inexhaustible well. So we really complement each other really well. And I don't know where he finds the time for it, because he's running burial and forestry camp and 3 burial locations and probably hundreds of employees now. And it's kind of insane that he can still manage to eke out 2 or 3 ideas every single week, and they're just as crazy as ever. So, and he comes up with the names. I don't do that. So I really think in my heart, secretly somewhere, he's got a notebook stashed away, and every evening he, I don't know, maybe smoke some stuff or something. But these names they're freaking insane. And anyway, yeah, I'm getting all over the place, but yeah, we go through it every week, and then it's a really controlled process of like preliminary sketches, kind of tighter sketches, then an ink drawing and then a final finished piece. And it runs like midweek to midweek. Man, by the time we're just putting those ones from last week to bed, here come the new ones and starts all
the
over
process
again.
all over again. Awesome.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
The output from them too is insane with that much, you know. We've had our kind of core cans, we call them. There's about 7 or so of those that you'll see on store shelves a lot, that you can find all year or you know, every year. And then obviously we have the one-offs that just kind of just constantly cycling through. It's like every, you know, something new and outlandish, and it keeps it fun. Also keeps me in business and working, because you know, if we just had the 7 or 8 and that's all they had, then it would be really much else for me.
And on the consumer side, we enjoy it because we get to see all the new designs and stuff that are coming out as well, and see what's next.
Yeah, it's really crazy how it's so about the beer, because the beer is amazing. It really is. They're fucking geniuses in that regard. But like, it's really cool that it's turned into such a design based like product, or you know, whatever for them, because there are people, man, who'll send me messages and emails and on stuff all the time, showing me videos of them just sweeping the room with all these fucking bottles and things. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's fucking insane. You know what I mean? Like, somebody has all that and they're holding on to it like it's prized paintings or something like that.
They have their own art gallery, just 16 ounces at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, I think, like, specifically for Burial, and I don't know the exact timelines, but I mean, there aren't too many breweries that have that aesthetic. You had like Three Floyds, I think maybe predates Burial.
Yeah.
And then like Adroit Theory, and then there's a newer one kind of in our area, Nightmare Brewing, and Abomination maybe. And that's about it as far as it goes, is like really, you know, that awesome heavy metal kind of aesthetic. So
yeah,
like
a few of them out there. I mean, a good one is True out of
Colorado, I think.
But yeah, they're out of Colorado, but
yeah.
Yeah, they definitely have that metal aesthetic. I would even say they're probably leaning more even super aggressive, like metal, you know, I mean, black metal, death metal kind of look, you know, where I don't know where we fit into the metal spectrum, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely more of that psychedelic, as you were saying. Yeah, I think, and we'll talk about it more in the next segment. But you know, you definitely have that aesthetic of using a lot of colors to pop against a black. You know, and yeah, so it's something I appreciate. Can you tell us like what your favorite can that you've done for Burial is, and what is the favorite actual beer that you've had, if those differ?
I'm not gonna be able to tell you what my favorite beer I've had from them, because like, and they all laugh at me about this, because like I literally can't remember the name of the beer even during the week we're working on it. So, and like Doug, for instance, remembers every fucking, oh, that's like blah 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 blah, and I'm like, which one was that? And they go, the wolf skeleton one. Oh yeah, the wolf skeleton. So unfortunately, I can't pull that out because I don't remember the goddamn names. But I will say, and I'm not just saying it to be a company man, but like I've never had one I didn't like. That I didn't literally probably pop open and drink and go, this is my new favorite. You know what I mean? It's kind of that thing. So I don't know. That's hard for me to say. And as far as the favorite art or design that I've done, I don't know, man. It takes a really special one for me to get psyched up about it. You know what I mean? And they're kind of few and far between. That's more just being self-critical than anything. So for the longest time, it was the Skillet. If you're familiar, with that. I really dug how that one turned out, and that was a very early on one. That was like year one. That one was good. It took a long time for something to top that one, but we did a series that kind of Tim Gormley spearheaded. Is called Ambient Terrain. It was like a series of these cans that had all these different like landscapes that went all the way around the can. And that was probably at least 4 years ago. But I really thought those were really pretty. It was like one was like a farm field in Illinois, and one was like a East Coast kind of scene with a lighthouse, and like the other one was like this range of mountains, and this big fucking storm was like rolling over. The dark gray clouds were like rolling over the top, about to smother it, and like that one was, so those were my favorite after that. And then I think recently, if I pull one out, and again, I'm not going to know the names of them, but there's one I did with, it's like these pink oyster mushrooms and these purple hands kind of all coming out of it. If you guys ever saw that one or whatever. But that was my favorite for a little while. And then lately I really like, it's actually the one it's on a can, but it's this graphic that's on a can. And I don't know what the name of that one is either. I fucking love that one. And I think a lot of it is because it reminds me of the way Skillet was done.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of got this like kind of same, I don't know. It's a woman on the skillet, but instead of a skull, but it's kind of same idea. Just I like drawing stuff like that. So that kind of composition.
Right on. Yeah, I mean we're into it too. Honestly, Burial is one of the few beers that I've bought based solely on can art, and this goes back a couple years. But there's a place around us called Vintage Estates, and it's in Ohio, and so they occasionally get Burial in, and I just happened to see a can on the shelf, and I believe it was something. It was like a farmhouse ale, and I believe it was like the Blade. I can't remember it offhand, but it was just like this one lonely can because it's all they had from Burial at that time was just one farmhouse ale. But it looked so much like a Baroness album cover, and I was just like, oh, I gotta try it just to see. But it was such a good beer. And then like I think a month later they had the Skillet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it's a heavy ass stout. We're getting this for sure.
And I believe that the Skillet was the first one that we've had on the show.
Yeah, the Skillet was the first one that made it on our show.
Right,
So,
because that was the one that I got introduced to Burial, was that
Right.
beer here on the show.
It's such a good beer. And I had a whole period where I was into really black beers and like whatever they were, as long as they were dark and heavy, but like, I got to a point where like I would be falling on my face a little too much drinking those beers, man. Like, so then I started getting into IPAs more, and just kind of fits more. I'm kind of a more or less summertime vibe guy all the year round. You kind of got to be if you live in Minnesota. You got to kind of have that, that brain thing going on,
That optimism.
Yeah. IPAs, drinking an IPA in the wintertime for me, it's kind of like, I close my eyes and I'm on a beach or
get a little tropical flavor at least.
So that does lead to another question of, up in your neck of the woods, what are some of the breweries that you like to drink and partake in? Some of the ones that in your area that usually, key in on.
Yeah. Our big one, our probably biggest one that everybody around the country probably knows more than anybody is Surly. They do a fucking, to me, it's like maybe one of the most iconic IPAs ever, which is saying a lot. It's a bold statement, but they're called Furious, and it's really good. They followed that one with another one, Todd the Axeman. And I really liked them when they first came on the scene, and liked them for a long time because the head brewer, Todd Haug, was like a super nice guy and a genius at brewing, and also like a whiz at like metal guitar. He's on in a band called oh God, I hate when I do this. All right, maybe it'll pop in my head later. I'll stop thinking about it. But killer metal guitarist guy, fucking long hair, long beard. I mean, just like really fucking tattooed up, cool guy. So he brought, I think, like a cool feeling to that. But then it was funny because it wound up being like the beer for the masses here. You know what I mean? that's the only local beer. Like you get on a plane and leave from here that they'll serve you on an airplane. It's at all the game stadium, you know, so it's like a really big, they just built a huge, like multi-million-dollar facility with restaurants and all this kind of stuff. And they're kind of ubiquitous, I think, as far as our craft brewery scene goes, but there's almost too many to even count now, which is funny because Surly really ran the roost for a long time, and now some other ones have I think really gave them a run for their money and market share around here, you know. And one I really like, it's just maybe 30 minutes north of my house. I forget the town, but it's called Hammerheart, and if you've not heard of that, they're really awesome, man. They do all just bomber bottles, right? They don't do like cans and 12 ounces and
That's
pints.
old school. I like that.
They're all like wax dip tip, you know, bomber bottles, but a lot of them are smoked. So yeah, they do a lot with smoke, and they're really awesome. But those guys are all super into black metal and Norwegian, you know, metal and stuff like that. And when you go up to their brewery, it's a small little place, but you go in and it's all the walls are lined with like Viking shields and swords and you know, Viking garb, and all they do is play like Norwegian metal, and they play it at like 11. You know what I mean? Like fucking yeah. So that's if you couldn't tell, I kind of like people who, you know, kind of bring that metal vibe to the beer or whatever, you know.
I have a new vacation spot now.
I can hear the gears turning from here, Steve.
Yeah, we got a lot of really good ones here, and there's the third one I would mention, and I'll just stop there because they're just literally must. I think we actually found out there's like 200 breweries, and most of them are in Minnesota, and most of them are just in the Twin Cities. But another really good one is Prius, or yeah. I never know if I'm pronouncing it right, but they make a IPA called a Miraculum, which is like, fuck. If I had my pick of the litter, if anybody could just serve me an IPA and I drink it all night, it'd be that one. It's really fucking good as far as IPAs go. I will mention one more because they're worth mentioning, and their art is fucking sick. They're not actually Minnesota. They're just our neighbors across the border, but they're called Drekker, Drekk.
Oh, okay.
They make a lot of crazy good fucking sours and IPAs, and their artwork is just fucking insane. You think my stuff's colorful? You should look at it. It's like somebody just vomited a rainbow.
Oh yeah, for sure. They actually started getting shipped into PA, specifically our Pittsburgh area, not too long ago. So yeah, we've seen the sour brains with the like neon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, so good, man. Yeah, I didn't care for sours a whole lot until I got on board with their stuff, and it just kind of changed. It opened my palate up for that stuff a lot because they do it so well. But,
Right on. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna just, if we can do quick last thoughts on the dry hop Pilsner, we'll do that, and then we'll take a quick break. But Greg, let's start with you. Quick thoughts on the have everything and have nothing at all dry hop Pilsner.
Real good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not somebody that reaches for a Pilsner to start off anything, but anything that's dry hop like that, is pretty good in my book. I like that. I still got 3 more in the fridge, so I will be enjoying all of those. I liked it.
Nice. Yeah, for me, it's super well balanced. And also, like I said, the hop flavor kind of covers up the notes of Pilsners that I don't love. So yeah, it's a really great beer, and it's super fresh and it's super crushable. So yeah, I love it a lot. Adam?
Yeah, I mean, we're going 3 for 3 here to nobody's surprise. But it still has that VFW beer vibe, but it definitely seems like with the dry hop, it's going towards a bit of a younger crowd. You know, if you're looking like Desert Storm and Newer and the VFW, those guys are the ones that'll be enjoying it. But all in all, yeah, good beer. It's Burial. Who's surprised?
Yeah. Nobody listening to this podcast. But all right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with segment 2, and we're going to get to learn a little bit more about David and the art he does kind of outside of Burial and inspirations, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit of metal. But yeah, stay tuned. We'll be right back. It's episode 209 of the Hop Nation USA podcast, and we're back. We're still on Zoom. It's still Steve. It's still Adam. It's still Greg, and we're joined by our very special guest, David Paul Seymour, the artist for Burial Beer. And if we're talking Burial Beer, that means we're drinking Burial Beer. And this week, idiot, I'll edit that. But this segment, we are drinking. Well, it has about 15 different names, but the one on the can is also While the Light is Lime, Enjoy Your Prime, and Just Don't Die This Time. It is an India Pale Ale with oranges, vanilla, and lactose. And the reason why I had to kind of go through all the different names of it is because it actually is one of my more favorite can arts that I've seen. It's basically modeled off of the old ice cream truck menus that you see out there in the world, but every one that you kind of look at, the closer you look at, the creepier it is, the grosser it is. And then they've put names for all of the different ice cream horror treats, like the Iron Maiden chocolate chip cookie sandwich. I enjoy that one a lot. But yeah, 7.2 on the ABV.
You were didn't mean to cut in. I was just gonna say, you were asking me earlier about like new, favorites or whatever. This is definitely a new favorite as far as the artwork goes for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one was a real treat to do, man. That was a lot of fun.
Treat. I get it.
Boo this man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's an awesome can art. And also, just going back real quick to the last segment, I looked up the name of the beer that first got me in the Burial, and it's called Blade and Sheath.
Yeah.
It was a farmhouse ale. So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, this one though, looking at it, it's orange juice. You can see that pretty easily on the photos. On the nose, real orangey. A lot of orange in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not in an obnoxious way.
No, not in an obnoxious way. But when you drink it, what I especially enjoy, and it's something that we don't find a lot with these kind of beers, is that there's a lot of vanilla flavor in there.
Yes. It is an actual dessert.
Right. It's an actual orange creamsicle as compared to a lot of the other ones that they overpromise and underdeliver.
Mm.
This one perfectly delivers.
Yes.
This one pops with, yeah. Although I can tell that this one might be a little too bitter for you, Adam. But
It is.
Okay.
This one is a bit deceptive in that way, because a lot of times you see a lot of those, lactose, hazy IPAs. Okay, it's going to be rather soft. This is not necessarily like that. This one actually has some hop pop to it, which, I applaud them for that. Unfortunately for me personally, that's not my jam. So, I appreciate what it is, but I'm not going to hammer 4 of them in a night.
Mm-hmm.
But I applaud them for actually having hops in an IPA that happens to have haze in it.
Right. Yeah. I will say it's sort of reminiscent of some of those decadent ales in the way that they're desserty, but also like a little bit bitter. But yeah, the flavors are really big on this one. So
yeah.
Polarizing, but I like it.
Yes. Greg, how about yourself? What do you got going on in your glass?
Well, I do not have the one you guys are drinking. I have had it. I destroyed that 4-pack shortly after I got it. It was tasty. I thought it was slightly heavy on the lactose for my liking. But obviously it's gone, so it didn't make that big of a difference. So what I'm drinking now, I believe you've had this on the show in the past. Keeping with the theme of burial, we got the Spectacle of Martyrdom.
Yes.
It's the 3.9 mild ale. So yes, I know it's not a beer in your opinion, Steve, but but to make up for that, since I know I'm going to crush that one down pretty quick, I also have my backup Skillet.
Nice.
So
yes.
There's my segment 2 right there. I got to let this one warm up a little bit.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
I don't know that we actually had the Spectacle Martyrdom on the show. I know it's in my fridge.
I don't know if you have or not.
I don't think we've had it on the show yet, but it's in our fridge. It's from our care packages from Greg. So
I'll definitely
I'll be drinking one in the future at some point because I knows I have it. but how is it so far?
I enjoyed it a lot. It's exactly what the label says it is. It's a mild ale. It's very sessionable. Obviously, 3.9. You could drink that all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
It looks dark in the glass, but it doesn't drink like that at all. I mean, it's
just like super
it's actually
light.
quite very light, very refreshing. And being down here on the coast of North Carolina, 90-degree heat, this is great.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean it's 90 up here too, so we're not. Everybody's looking for something light and soft. But awesome. All right, well, let's move on. And David, did you grab yourself a beer this segment?
Well, I grabbed myself a. I don't know how this is going to play with you guys. You guys might just boot me off, or I don't know. But I did grab myself something, and it is quite tasty. So it is a strawberry rhubarb hard seltzer.
Ah.
I've never drank hard seltzers before, and my wife came across some somehow. She's like, "No, you got to try this. I'm telling you." And I'm like, "No, those things just taste awful." You know what I mean? And they taste like fake flavors and what. These are actually really fucking good. This particular brand, and like I think you were Adam. You said a grass cutter. This is a oh yeah, take two of these out while you're mowing the lawn, and they're pretty good. I am a beer guy, but these are a nice little change of pace. It's almost like having a cocktail that doesn't taste too boozy, you know?
Yeah, a cocktail you can walk away from.
Yeah.
So we can't really kick you off the show because on Steve and I's last brew day, Steve brought over some seltzers, and it turned out that we like them too.
Yeah.
Well, we like the ones I brought over. That's the thing. It's just finding the ones that you like. All the other ones we've had so far were all medicinally gross.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do these mixed so this is Fulton, which is another local.
We love Fulton.
Yeah,
that's right. You are local to that Fulton 300.
Yes. So they do.
That's one of our favorite beers of our show.
Yeah, 300's a fucking beast, man. That's a nice just IPA flat out. But they did an excellent job with these. They come in these mixed packs. There's 2 different ones, and there's 4 flavors to each pack, and like none of them miss, man. And like we went to open the mixed berry, and we're like, oh man, I know this is going to taste like cough medicine, right? It really tastes like they're the only. I mean, they just got it. I don't know how they did, but they just nailed it down. Mm-hmm. And the fucking colors are fun. I mean, that's a strawberry, you know. So it's not. They're not all just clear, boring, or whatever. You know, they're really good. Don't want to stray from burial talk too much, and
we're kind of. I mean, barrel was segment 1. You know, we're into other stuff, but
I mean, you honestly, look at it. It's 3 out of 4. We're batting 750. That puts us in the hall right there.
That's right.
The color though on it leads me to believe that possibly that Fulton is using real fruit for that rather than just kind of an artificial flavor.
Yeah, it could be. Another interesting one, which is if there will be a segment 3, I don't know how this goes, but I'll be getting one that's called Hopped, and it's a hard seltzer, and it's clear, and it's like just pure. It's like they just squeezed a bunch of hop juice into it, and it's a hard seltzer with a hop flavor.
Interesting.
It's actually really good.
Lagunitas was doing like hop water for a minute. It was non-alcoholic, so
yeah. No, this is alcoholic. I mean, it's another seltzer in the seltzer family that they have, and it just for people who just want to have a hop, you know, kind of flavor to it, you know, and it's really good. So no fruit.
Yeah, our minds are less closed now that we've found some that we like, but
yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on though and talk a little bit more about yourself, David. As we've been talking already, you do a lot of art in the heavy metal aesthetic, and a lot of that comes from just horror and fantasy culture in general. I notice like a lot of like almost Frank Frazetta inspiration in stuff you do, but also you play with color a lot, so it's not just drab blacks and reds all the time. You have a lot of stuff that pops. So just in general, can you tell us like more inspirations that you have, inspirations that might be surprising to people who like look at your art? and general like music that gets you into that headspace?
Yeah, growing, the funny thing is I get the Frazetta thing like all the time, and I love Frank Frazetta. I think that the guy's such a master, and he deserves all the credit he gets. But like, I'm really not influenced by him that much. There really isn't much for me to take away from what he does other than like loving to look at it. You know what I mean? But I actually was really inspired growing up by comic book and skateboard artists a lot. It's more colorful and it's less painterly, more illustrative, and lot of good like ink work and technique on that side. Because I'm not a painter, I literally can't paint to save my life. So I always tell people, that I consider myself like an artist, but like more of an illustrator, commercial illustrator. And I always liked and I read a lot of books and read a lot of interviews with those comic book guys in the early days and stuff, and it always amazed me how they had to like crank through this work at such a high velocity because, you might have one artist working on like 3 different comic books at one time, and they're putting out like, fucking 26 pages of work for just one title, and they're working on 3, and that's every month. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of ways that's kind of what I do, both with Burial and with bands and stuff, because, I'm not like painting the Sistine Chapel or something and spending years and slaving and just like excruciating agony over it and all this kind of stuff. It's and for me it's more fun, because it's like, I'm just not the tortured artist type. I'm pretty pragmatic about what I do, and I like to just draw cool stuff and whatever. So growing up, I was really, like I said, influenced in a lot of, by a lot of like more illustrators than like fine artists or any of that kind of thing. And guys who did comic books and skateboard art. So I don't know, that's where I draw almost all my inspiration from it's a particular little cluster of those guys that I really like and have kind of held dear for a long time. As far as metal bands and what I listen to, it's such a fragmented world, the metal community. It seems like people, and I found this even when I was in high school, it's like, oh, you like this, this type of genre of metal or whatever. And I don't, and there seems to be a lot of like lines drawn, between those things. And I just never got that. I mean, I've always just liked really heavy music. And it's funny because I feel like the world of metal has not only grown into subgenres as years have gone on, but like, it's obviously gotten more extreme, I mean, like you look at a band, from like, well, you look at a band like Motorhead from like 1977 and on, versus even like Metallica or Slayer. And then you can look at bands now that make Metallica or Slayer seem very tame, by today's standards, because there's stuff that's so extreme and aggressive, and it just kind of gets more and more as the years seem to go on. My wife is really surprised all the time because like she's like, as old as you are, man, you ought to be like really mellowing out, but it's like you literally are getting into like heavier and heavier, just more extreme shit as so it's like I'm kind of going the opposite way, man. I almost get bored with stuff that I feels like getting a little too mellow, you know what I mean, or whatever. So, I still like to bang my head, man. So, but, yeah, I mean, I like so many bands. My wife laughs, my kids laugh because they'll, a song will come on one of my playlists and I'm like, oh, that's like one of my favorite bands ever. You know what I mean? They're like, every fucking band is your favorite band ever. So it's hard for me to pull out like, I've had my favorites over the years. Obviously I got a shrine back here to Kiss, which, isn't the heaviest band in the world, especially by today's standards. But, that's what I grew up on. Those were my superheroes when I was a little kid. And, but yeah, I mean, I got bands like that I really like get real fucking excited about, but I just love anything, man. And I made it a point a long time ago when I watched my uncles like in their early 20s or early 30s, and they're still listening to Journey and REO Speedwagon and all the stuff that they listened to when they were like in junior high and high school, and they just kind of like never let it go. And they all sit around going, well, there just isn't anything good out there anymore like this, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm never going to be that guy, and I never have been. That was a point of some of the podcasts I've done in the past, was just, I had one where it was literally just seeking out every week like the newest new like heavy music, and that's kind of how I spend my time. This computer over here is like, well, I'm drawing on this one. This one's over here just dedicated to tunes, and I'm just like ripping through Spotify, just looking for for that next addiction. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's hard for me to just break off. I mean, I could break off a list of bands I like, but that's kind of boring. The point being is that I just love listening to, like, seeking out and finding new metal.
So what's the latest band that you've gotten into? Like, what's the newest one that has piqued your interest and you've just dove in with them?
Well, I could literally tell you on any given day, if you were to ask me that question, I could tell you the band that just got me fucking hyped up that day. And I've been listening to this band called S-Fix all day today. And I listened to Autopsy's Live in Chicago album from last year. And that's literally, I just listened to those two things all day today. So,
nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll
ask me tomorrow. It'll be a whole different.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I guess we have to start a daily podcast of what's getting David fucking hyped today.
that'll be on our Patreon account.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that though, of just like always wanting to find something new and different. I don't always seek out like the heaviest stuff, but I've been like finding myself branching into like what's weirder. So like I don't know if you've heard Zeal and Ardor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like that was such an interesting new sound. And then like Brain Tentacles was another one that I ran into, that it's like jazz metal fusion.
Oh yeah. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I actually did it was like an illustration for Kerrang magazine for Zeal and Ardor a couple.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, really cool band.
Yeah, I enjoy them, and yeah, they're all over the place. But yeah, excuse me. So you also mentioned you've already mentioned how you're more you see yourself more as kind of a comic book illustrator, and you've even done some comic books in the past. Do you have any books that you like are a dream book for you to do, or is there any series currently that you would really love to be a part of?
As far as comic books go, I couldn't really say. I kind of dropped out of the comic book collecting thing a while back. There's a few titles that have sprouted up over the last few years that I've bought and read that I enjoyed, but I don't really do the deep crawl diving through the comic book world anymore. I don't like bad mouthing stuff or people or whatever. I'll just leave it to say that like I'm genuinely turned off by a lot of the artwork in it. Not in any way trying to say like, oh, I could do better or my shit's so great or whatever. It's just a personal taste issue. I got a whole fucking rack of old Conan comic books back there, and I guess it's different than music for me. I'd rather read through shit like that from the 70s and 80s and stuff than to see a lot of these like kind of digital gradient colored, like they look so clean and like almost doesn't look like human hands ever touched that artwork on some of them. Mm-hmm. It's just I'm just not interested. My bandwidth is too small these days for entertainment stuff, so I just pick and choose what I like. But so I couldn't really say like I don't know that, I also found that like, man, doing comic books is a lot of motherfucking work, dude. I did 3 comic books, 3 actual issues, one title, 2 issues, and another title, the first issue, and then I just stopped, man. It's more work than a guy's like me's wired to do. It goes back to what I was saying about those guys. So much respect that even today, for what it's worth, that these guys can power through so much artwork like that, because it is not easy, man. I mean, every fucking box is a piece of artwork, and it just there's just so much work. Anybody who's ever done, just ask them, you know, and they'll tell you, man, it is a lot of fucking work. I'd much rather sit and work on band t-shirts than do that ever again. But yeah, I enjoyed doing the ones I did. As a matter of fact, the main one with the 2 issues, Kumasan, which is a really like personal, near and dear story to me that I came up with like 6 years ago. But I actually found it much easier and got more depth out of it. I've turned it into a novel, and I've been writing that off to the side. Like I start my day with that. I write for like 35 minutes every morning before I draw or do anything. It just sort of gets my gears turning, and I found it's perfect for getting my brain in the creative zone. Because it's also so different than drawing to sit and just write. But I find the imagination component is a lot similar. You know, it's the same. I mean, I've always thought of all the stuff that I draw, whether it's shirts or album covers or burial cans or whatever. It's there's so much imagination, but it's also storytelling in a lot of ways. I mean, there's always a story to be told in a good piece, you know, and so it's just, to me, it's just another outlet for that. But I've really been enjoying that, and I found I've been able to bring a lot more depth to the story I was trying to tell than a comic book ever could. Because that's the other problem that I found I did not like about comics. Also, is it's very surface. It's very like you kind of move through. Guy says this quick little quip, and this guy says that, and then they, you know, you got them, you know, but you can't really ever get into the kind of depth you get from a novel or you know, something like that. So it's been way more rewarding for me because I could tell the depth of story that I've been wanting to tell with it. And yeah, I think I'm about like a third of the way through. But that's the beautiful part about doing a project like that is I'm not on a deadline for some publisher, and I don't owe anybody anything. So you know, the good part of every 35 minutes is me probably going back with the shit I wrote the morning before and going, oh, yeah. Like cleaning that up, and then like I might get actual like 5 or 10 minutes of actual new writing in. So it's a fun but lengthy process, but I'm just enjoying it. And like I found that 35 minutes, like I could probably come in here at night like right now and just write for hours, but I find like it feels like it's got a good flow, and like it goes better like limiting yourself to those things.
And a beautiful thing is that is a project for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I've got access to publishing and stuff like that, and so when it's done, it'll actually, you know, just putting it out under my own banner, and it'll be out there. So yeah,
that's awesome though. Yeah, it sounds almost like that. The way drawing started as a hobby when you were in architecture. This sounds kind of like a hobby now. It's just a way to energize yourself. And, you know, again, you already said, just have your brain think a little bit differently and, you know, give you that space. So that's cool.
Shift gears just a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really funny. My wife said, like, I don't know why you haven't written in so long anyways, because when I first got out of high school, I went into drafting, but I really wanted to, all I ever wanted to be was like a English lit professor. That's the guy with the patches on his arm. I'm like that, listening to jazz. I'm like, that seems like really fucking cool, you know. And I wrote a lot and drew a lot. I did both, and then I just stopped writing for a long time, and until now. So
it's awesome though. Also, speaking of your writing though, that you have a hand in the story of a project that you're working on now as well, called The Planet of Doom. Which is an animated feature, is it not?
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I'll let you say. I don't know if you were asking me a specific question or you wanted me.
Oh no, So, can you tell us a little bit more about the Planet of Doom and just kind of like inspirations and the story behind that?
Yeah. So I actually can't take all the credit. I work. I have a partner who he and I work on it together, and I say together. He definitely does the lion's share of the work. I got to give him credit because he's the director, the animator. So I mean, really, the lion's share of like tedious day-to-day work that I would never have time to do is on his plate and wouldn't know how to do. And I'm only one of 15 artists on the project, so it's been a great way to work with so many other talented people. So it's a full length, or going to be a full length animated film. It tells a story. It's sort of very fantasy driven, a little bit of sci-fi element to it, in just the way it kind of happens on different planets and different kind of, you got guys kind of teleporting in and out of different things. But it's a basic classic revenge tale, and it's like Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. It just, this guy, this three-headed winged beast flies into this guy's village one day while he's out collecting water for the village, doing his turn, and the monster just levels everything in flame and burns the whole village down, including all his kinfolk and his wife. And so he spends the rest of the movie just going on this revenge kill, to make his way to the beast and where he ultimately resides, and kill him. And he fully expects and wants to die in the end, as himself, because that's all he's got left to live for. But he goes on this journey. He meets these witches and he meets these different people, and they seduce him and they beat him and they fuck with his head, and they, but he's trying to figure out what he needs for this quest along the way, kind of thing, and it's just really cool. We got a lot of different artists, and it's all set to music, original music by all these great heavy bands, and there's no actual talking or dialogue in it, so all the story, we call them chapters, from chapter to chapter, is told by the bands, by the vocals and the lyrics that they've written. So I wrote the story, 6 years ago maybe, and I was talking to Tim because he was working on animating these cool little shorts, and I said, dude, why don't we do a full movie? And I figured he'd be like, no, but he was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And so we took the little kind of script it wasn't even a script, it was just like a synopsis of like what the story was, and we fleshed that out into a full-length movie. And then we gave each chapter to whatever band we thought would fit that chapter the best, and then had their lyricist or singer or whatever, interpret it, and the band interpret it, and then they wrote their own lyrics off of that, and then we would take their song, and then Tim would take the treatment and the song, and he would get with the artist, and that was going to be drawing it, and say, okay, here's the song. This is happening here.
Wow.
Like, I'm going to animate, big hit with, boom here, big explosion or something, like that. And just, we put those guys to work drawing the artwork for that. And then Tim cuts it up, animates it, and sets it to the music. And it's been really wild, man. And we've made some really good friends along the way, between the bands and the artists. And like I said, I kind of live in my own bubble, drawing my own stuff, and I work with the bands that I work with, and usually that's at kind of an arm's length thing, because we don't live near each other where we can like meet up or whatever. So it's good to like come out of my bubble and work with other people besides just bands, but other artists too, and see kind of like what kind of people they are. But yeah, it's really fun. It's still in production, and honestly, like it's been a long time that it's been in the process, but anytime I tell somebody what's involved and what has been involved in doing it, they kind of start to get it then. And even a lot of that's not just the work, but you lose people flake out, you put a guy on a part of it, and they flake out, or they quit, or they just aren't, meeting your expectations. Well, then you got to go through the whole process again of signing contracts and finding new people that agree to do it and take their place. And so it's people like, when's this coming out? You guys are taking forever. Animating takes a long time. Keeping artists and bands happy or like working on it themselves, like that's a whole art form right there too, so.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Can you tell me about some of the bands that are involved in the project that you've worked with?
Yeah. So we've got some really killer bands, and obviously, if you're in the no metal, especially like because it's called Planet of Doom, if you're into like doom metal or stoner rock and that kind of thing, they're all pretty killer bands. But I'd say one of the more like big bands, a classic metal band we have is a band called Cirith Ungol, and these guys were like a really killer like metal blade band in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I was just telling somebody over the weekend that because a guy from the band texted me. He was like, "What size shirt do you and your daughter wear?" You know, and he wanted to send me one. But the funny thing is, like, I was a huge fucking fan of them when I was like 14, like middle school, high school, and now like the guys texting me and asking me like, you know, what. So that's pretty fucking cool. But like, yeah, and then with them, they I don't think ever really quite got the credit. They were right on the heels of somebody like an Iron Maiden or Metallica, but they never quite reached that because they kind of folded up before that could really come to pass.
Mhm.
And they had this younger guy who kind of got them back together and said, "Man, there's so many people that love you guys and loved you from back then." So literally, the song they did for our movie kind of brought them back out of part of bringing them back out of their kind of sequestered, you know,
Oh wow.
for decades. And it was the first song that they wrote and recorded in like 27 years.
Holy cow.
So I was still kind of pinch myself about that I'm friends with them. The first song they did was for my fucking movie. And like, it's just so fucking crazy. But they're really cool guys. Now they touring all over Europe and places playing to like 30,000 people at these metal festivals. And I'm so happy for them because they're it's like no time ever passed. And they've put a couple of brand new albums since they reunited several years ago. And like, dude, I swear they're better than the records they put out in the 80s. Like, it's just insane. So check them out. We've got bands like Conan, Slomatics, Voconus, Elephant Tree, who, by the way, is one of Jimmy Page's favorite new bands. I don't know why that's relevant, but I think it is.
It's good. It's good press for them to have Jimmy Page talking about them.
A band called Messa from Italy. The band Wofat, which is they're like a huge stoner psychedelic band out of Texas. Oh God, here I go again. See, I'm pretty sure I'd get diagnosed with some sort of memory issue if I went and looked. I've been that way my whole life. I have so much trouble recalling things on the spot like that. But yeah, a lot of killer bands, man, and a lot of great artists, and it's going to be a killer movie when it's done.
Right on. Yeah, it sounds super involved. Like you're explaining, like it's animated, but it also has the elements of like syncing music to it. So it sounds a bit like music videos, but it's also kind of an anthology, like the ABCs of Death in a way.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't know if you've seen it, but like Gennady Tartakovsky, he put out that TV show called Primal, which was animated, and there's no dialogue in that either.
Wait, is that the guy that did Dexter's Lab?
It is.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I'm already in then.
Yeah, he put out an adult animation called Primal that it's just like it's all cavemen, so it's cavemen and dinosaurs, and it's again high fantasy. But
Okay, I'm in. Yeah. Sign me up.
If you haven't seen it, man, run fast and go see it as fast as you can. Watch it tonight. You will not be disappointed. It is fucking insane.
Right on.
Yeah.
And it's some brutal shit too. I love how it's brutal.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like in a cartoony kind of way. You know, it's really cool.
It's like Cartoon Network, but the movie heavy metal in a way. They're another blend, but yeah. Let's come back to the beer that we're drinking for Adam and I, and then we'll go to Greg for his. But just to remind everybody, we're drinking the Burial. While the light is lime, enjoy your prime, and just don't die this time. The orange IPA with vanilla and lactose. 7.2. I enjoy it thoroughly. But Adam?
I understand what the beer is doing. And I like most of it, although it does have a little bit on that hop side of things, which is not my jam. That's my problem, not Burial's problem. But yeah, I like what they're doing with it. If you like, you know, those hazies, but you actually want a little bit of hop to go along with it and a little bit extra flavor, yeah, grab this beer. You'll be into it.
Right on. Yeah, it's got a little bit of punch. It's a nice dessert for the summer because it's not as heavy or as thick as like a stout or something like that.
Yes. Yes.
Greg, how's the mild ale treating you?
It treated me pretty good for about 10 minutes into this segment. And then the stout finished me off pretty good since, again, the whole 90 degrees in this entire country, all weather, stout weather. Yeah, it was good.
Nice.
Excellent.
Greg knows the branding of the show.
I may have listened to 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
He's not just here to look good.
Right. And David, how's the hard seltzer?
It was good.
Right enough.
Nice.
It was very strawberry. I don't get the rhubarb part. I think they could have just called it a strawberry seltzer and left that, because I don't get the rhubarb. And believe you me, I've put away quite a few in my day, and I know what that tastes like, and I don't get that. But again, I gotta give those guys props, Fulton, because they really, man, they got the flavors nailed. And we've tried a few just to compare of other brands, and like you said, that it tastes phony, tastes kind of medicinal, and this just really tastes like, yeah, they could be sticking real fruit in here for all I know. Really good.
Awesome.
So,
yeah. Hey, that's good to hear that Fulton, a brewery we love, but it's good to know that they're still putting quality products out even when it's not beer. So cool.
And that we can't get them all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take a trip to Vintage to see what they have, because that's where I get my 300 from too. So I get my Burial and my 300 from Vintage. But all right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with a game, and then we're going to play, is it a beer, is it a metal song, or is it both? So good luck to Adam and Greg.
Oh, great.
But we'll be right back. It's still episode 209 of the Hop Nation USA podcast, and you've made it all the way to segment 3. Congrats. And it's still Adam, Steve, and Greg, joined by their very special guest, David Paul Seymour, the genius behind the burial artwork, as well as many other things that you've already heard. But let's start out segment 3 with another burial beer. And Greg, tell us what it is.
Well, in this segment, we are drinking the Metallic Vessels, which is the black lager with coffee. And as you can tell, by the sick artwork on this can, it's going to be absolutely delicious because everybody drinks and tastes with their eyes. So, since I've had this before, and I don't know if you guys have, but I'm going to enjoy some more right now, and it's absolutely delicious. Solid lager, great coffee flavor, and again, absolutely disgustingly sick artwork. Good job.
I don't think I can add anything to that. Yeah, you hit it all. I will say that I have had this before, and I'm going to have it again, and I'm okay with that.
And again, and again, and again.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the black lager being, connected up with the coffee beers as well. I don't think that has been put together too much before. I'm glad that it has now. But this is definitely the type of beer that you kind of want to drink in the evening time. Just sort of, this is your kind of, I'll say, come down beer after dinner. You start watching Jeopardy and stuff like that. The day is done. If you want to start yelling at the TV a little bit, yeah, grab this beer. You'll be doing all right.
Adam, you called this an after dinner beer, and I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a good, after dinner beer. Yeah. But also, this totally could have been in the 1930s and 40s when it was cool to drink before work and when it was cool to drink on your lunch break. This could have been one of those kind of beers too. You get your coffee and your beer. I really love the coffee flavor in this beer because it is just super straightforward. It tastes like a black cup of coffee. You can tell there's no other kind of adjuncts or anything else silly in there. It's just kind of a straightforward, I'm guessing, dark Czech lager with coffee.
I'd buy that. Buy that. But I will say this would pair perfect with a slice of pie.
Sure.
A slice of pie at grandma's house. Yeah, sign me up.
It'd go well with barbecue or steak too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say steak. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, great beer. Who'd have thought?
We've said it before. We'll say it again.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah,
David.
The man who has already made it in life because he has a comic book rack in his house. You are living the dream of many of us already. What are you drinking?
Well, first of all, I want to say it's really cool you guys pulled that out because I haven't thought about that piece in a long time, and like that's got to be another favorite of mine. That was pretty cool. Like I said, I don't like toot my own horn or anything, but there's certain ones that get me jazzed that I was proud of. I did, and like I love them all, but every once in a while, one of those ones like that one, just I'm like, oh yeah, dude, that's just got all the boxes checked for me and what I like to draw and how I like to do it. So, I am back to the Fulton Hard Seltzer. This time doing the hopped as I described earlier, and yeah, this one could have been cool. They threw some green in here or something. I don't know, but maybe that'd have been too St. Patricky or something like. It's clear. It's got a little cloudy kind of thing going on, I guess, from maybe the hop juice or something, you know. But yeah, it's really tasty. It tastes exactly like what it says. It tastes like hops, and like you were saying about the other one, just tasting like coffee. It's kind of the same thing. There's straight up no bitterness to it at all, and you know, because it's kind of on that seltzer kind of spectrum, but yeah, it's really good, man. It's hoppy, and it's like, again, the kind of thing you're out mowing the yard or sitting around the pool or that kind of thing, like, and you want a little hoppy flavor, but you're not wanting to choke down some beers or, you know, especially some heavy IPAs or something like that. It's a way to get a little hop in there. It's definitely more hoppy than, say, some of those pilsners or things where you discover just a little bit of hoppiness to it or something. You taste that they make the beer with hops, but this is just straight up hop. But it doesn't taste like an IPA or anything too crazy. It's kind of weird. But
Does they say on the can what kind of hops they used in it? Or is it mystery hops?
Yeah, well, there's nothing on the can that tips you to what kind of hops they're throwing in there, and you know, and the only thing even close to that is ingredients. It's filtered water, alcohol from glucose, hops, natural citrus flavor, which I don't get that at all, but that's just me, and some carbon dioxide. So just hop. Maybe it's whatever they had laying around.
That's what I would guess. Just kind of a blend of what was sitting about.
Proprietary blend.
Yeah. Cool. All right then. Well, let's move on to our game for this segment. And the game is it a beer, is it a metal song, or is it both? And so I'm going to give you a title, and you tell me just that, beer, metal song, or both. And then there's also going to be a bonus question with every one of these. So with that, I'm going to let David start. And simply, your title is Frosthammer. Is it a beer? Is it a song? Or is it both?
It is a song for sure by High on Fire. And I don't know if that also was a beer or not, but I definitely should at least get half point for knowing the song.
I don't know that I can give you half points. I don't know that I can do that. Nope. But you're absolutely correct. It is a song by High on Fire. I gave it to you, obviously. Start you out easy. You know, I know you're a big fan of High on Fire, so. But yes, it's also a beer, though.
Oh,
Yeah. By surprisingly Harpoon.
I don't even know that brand. So
Harpoon is a brewery out of they're out of Massachusetts. They're pretty big on the East Coast and Atlantic area, but yeah, I can see how they might necessarily not make it to the Midwest. But yeah. So your bonus question though is, can you give me the style and ABV?
Oh shit.
Of Frosthammer by Harpoon.
I'm gonna just venture a guess here because I didn't even know it was a beer, so obviously I am going to say that it is a stout, clocking in at about 9%.
Ooh, very close on that, sort of. it's a it's a Doppelbock that clocks in at 10.7.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just for people who know Harpoon, like the fact that they made anything that's both a Doppelbock and 10.7 is pretty impressive. But yeah. Adam, we'll
Yeah.
go to you.
Oh boy.
You're next. Hammer Smashed Face. Is it a beer, is it a song, or is it both?
What was the name again?
Hammer Smashed Face.
I will say it is just a song.
And that is only half correct.
Okay.
It is a song, Hammer Smash Face by Cannibal Corpse, but it's also a beer by Brash Brewing out of Houston, Texas.
Oh, I was not aware of that.
Yes. For your bonus, though, there is a brewery called Ghost Town, and they have a series of beers that replaces Face with blank. So it's Hammer Smashed Blank. What is the blank?
Oh shit. I don't know. I'll be the hopeless romantic and just say heart.
That is wrong.
Aw. Was I even close?
No, absolutely
all right.
not. You should have thought more beer minded, because it's hops. They replace Face with different types of hops. So they have Hammer Smashed Citra, Hammer Smashed Strata, Hammer Smashed Mosaic. The Smash is
that should have keyed in on that. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Did they have anything with Fuggle?
No.
Then I don't care.
No Hammer Smashed Fuggle. I'm sorry.
No Fuggle, no care.
Yes. Greg, on to you. This is yours. Screaming for Vengeance. Is that a song? Is it a beer? Or is it both?
I'm going to say both, just because I have no idea.
That is correct.
Whoa. All right.
Screaming for Vengeance, a song by Judas Priest, also an album by Judas Priest.
Yeah.
And it's also a beer by Looking Glass Brewery. Your bonus, how many Screaming for Vengeance beers are listed on Untapped?
Am I allowed to look?
No.
Screaming for Vengeance. My hands, I'm proving I'm not looking. 17.
No. 5.
All right.
Oh.
That was a little high.
There are a lot of Screaming for Vengeance beers.
I was going to say that's still a hefty number.
Yeah. A lot of people apparently love Judas Priest.
Now, I didn't think different beer companies were allowed to use the same beer name. As far as I know, because of the work we do with their, that's odd.
Yeah, it depends on how litigious the brewery is and how much they look into it. Like, there's probably at least like 30 beers called Saison of the Witch out there. Like, it just depends on how much people really care about defending their brand. So, like, I can see like Three Floyds really wanting to defend Alpha King, or Burial wanting to defend Skillet, or in like Stone is super litigious. They'll sue for any fucking thing. So, but yeah, not everybody wants to. Yeah, especially if it's just kind of maybe a one-off beer. Not everybody cares that much. But,
drain the kegs and move on, kind of thing.
Yeah. There's bigger fish to fry. There's fucking can art with Flintstones on them that you gotta. But all right, coming back around to David. Your next title is Ghosts of Perdition. Is it a song? Is it a beer? Or is it both?
Damn it! There's too much metal out there. The guy's only got so many hours in a day. I think the smart play here would be to say both, but I don't know. I'm going to say maybe just a beer.
Ooh, that is incorrect. Should have went with the smart play and said both. Ghosts of Perdition is a song by Opeth off the album Ghost Reveries. And it's also surprisingly a beer by Atwater.
Really?
Yeah.
I see a pattern forming here, man.
But Atwater, they produced a barley wine called Ghosts of Perdition. I don't know if it was actually tied to Opeth or not, but yeah. David, your bonus though is there more minutes in the song, or are there more alcohol by volume in the barley wine?
I'm gonna say more minutes in the song, knowing Opeth and some of the stuff they do.
And David gets a bonus point. There are 10 minutes and 29 seconds in the song, but there's only 8.9 ABV in the barley wine.
I say that's a hard ass question. Bringing in barley wines.
Right.
It's
Well,
usually barley wines. That's double digit easy.
Exactly. That's why you got to think. You got to take that gamble. Did Opeth go long, or did the barley wine go soft?
It's a weak ass barley wine.
Yeah. All right. I'm actually going to go to Greg on this one. So, Greg, your title is Dope Smoker. Is it a beer? Is it a song? Or is it both?
I'm going to say it's a song only.
Ooh, and that is incorrect.
All right.
It is both. Dope Smoker, a song by Sleep, and a beer by the Dry Hop Brewers out of Chicago, Illinois. This one is super interesting to me because it is a smoked West Coast ale.
Nice.
Smoked West Coast IPA.
I
Really
can picture
very-
that.
But
Very
you know,
Let's say, Steve, I didn't know that you moved to Chicago recently.
right? It's close. Greg, though, your bonus question is, how long is the song Dope Smoker?
Oh, shit. I want to say 4 minutes and 20 seconds, but let me think.
Oh.
It's got to be something stupid. Let's say 13 and a half minutes.
Okay, and you're off by about 50 minutes. Dope Smoker, the song is 63 minutes and 31 seconds.
And it got a DeVita, got nothing on that.
It's just basically the whole album, and then depending on what issue you get like a live track or a B-side. Yeah. All right, Adam.
All right, let's make this happen.
Final one of this round, and then we have a big giant bonus question at the end.
All right.
But yeah. Yours is All I See Is Carrion. Is it a song? Is it a beer? Or is it both?
I'm going to say both.
And that is incorrect.
Shit.
I lured you into my trap.
You totally did.
It's only a beer, surprisingly. With that metal ass song, it's only a beer.
Yeah. Somebody needs to start taking notes on this so they can have a song like that.
Yeah. Your bonus question, though, is simply tell me what brewery it is.
What was the name again?
All I See Is Carrion.
The name of the brewery. I am going to go with Hoof Hearted.
And that is incorrect. The correct brewery is Adroit Theory, mentioned earlier in the episode.
Ah,
Yes.
I was close.
It's a Belgian quad ringing in at 12%.
Oh, I get down with that.
Ew.
Even if there isn't a song that goes along with it.
All right, on to the final lightning round. And the way this is going to work is I'm going to ask you to name a band that Three Floyds has collaborated with. And we're going to just go around the horn, and for every one that can be named, you're going to get a point. Currently, points are Adam, David, and Greg are all tied at 1.
Wait, I got a point?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, somewhere along the line, you did get a point.
A charity point, I'm sure. All right.
Yeah. But with that in mind, actually, no, Adam, I don't think you actually do have a
No.
point.
No, I'm pretty sure you snuck one in there.
Yeah.
This is
No,
this
you
is
have
full on
zero-
collusion.
Yeah, you do have 0 points. You didn't. I'm looking at the questions I gave you. You didn't get any of that right.
No. The fix
All
is
right.
in. I'm not even trying.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, we're just gonna go. We're gonna go around the horn, and it's gonna go David, Adam, Greg, and so we'll start with David. Can you name a band that Three Floyds has collaborated with to make a beer?
I'm gonna pass for now.
Adam.
Oh boy. Three Floyds. Bands. Megadeth.
No.
All right.
Greg.
Metallica, which I know it. They ain't one of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, close, but no. David, back to you. We'll see how many times we can go around, maybe.
Did they not do a beer with the band 1549?
1549. Not that it's not on my list. I'll look into it.
Is it okay if I look since I already gave my answer?
You can look for that one, and I'll look too, but it's not on my list of beers that I have or bands that I have. The list is fucking huge, so it's
So I just completely missed the dartboard.
yeah. You gotta think metal. I feel like there's at least one you would get, Adam, but
Oh, that might help if I said the band's name right. 1349.
So Steve, let me ask you this.
yeah.
Did Three Floyds ever do a collab at Brutal Beer Fest?
For some reason, I think they did it the last year.
No, okay. The problem with that one is I was pretty hammered by the end.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they did do one.
And I tricked my own self because it was Surly who did the beer with the band 1349, and also I said 1549. So getting the name right.
No points are awarded because I didn't find. Yeah, in my own research, I did not find it either. Adam, back to you.
I'll say Baroness.
Ooh, close, but no cigar. Greg. And this is the last time I'm going to go around, and the next one is just like name the number of bands. And
Still trying to guess a band that they collabed with, right?
yeah,
Oh shit.
I'm gonna try to think crazy here. Pig Destroyer.
That's a
Greg,
great guess.
Greg gets a fucking point.
That's a great guess. That's a great.
Shit.
Greg gets a fucking point because they've actually done 2 or 3 beers with Pig Destroyer.
And it's caught out of the air by Franco Harris.
He's mumbling.
I'm gonna let it go one more round around the horn, just because Greg actually got one. David, do you have another guess?
I'm gonna just pick somebody at random because I just can't do this. I'm gonna just say Dark Throne.
No, I did not find Dark Throne.
Okay.
I believe they've done a collaboration though, but I don't think it was with Three Floyds. But I'll look into it. while Adam, do you have a guess?
Yes. I'll say dying fetus.
No.
Ofer. Big old bagel.
That's a big goose. And back to you, Greg. I'll give you the chance for the final point if you really want to cement this.
I got lucky on the last time around. I don't know. Jennifer Lopez, how's that?
No. Jennifer Lopez was not invited to Dark Lord Day.
For good reason.
All right. Well, with that, Greg, you win with 2 points. David has 1 point, and Adam ends on the goose egg. Somebody needs to get out of the REO Speedwagon mindset.
Don't judge me.
Just for a list of the other bands that have collaborated with Three Floyds: At the Gates, Obituary, Skeleton Witch, Exodus, Lair of the Minotaur, Amon Amarth, I Hate God, Municipal Waste, out of Toledo, Ohio. I've seen them. Fun. And High on Fire, Pelican, Cannibal Corpse, Mastodon is the one I thought Adam might have got.
Yeah.
And Corrosion of Conformity. Those are the ones I found.
Wow.
Should have got Mastodon.
Yeah. I thought you were going to get Mastodon because you said Baroness. So
I know.
You were so close.
I know. That's okay. We're still friends.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hey, fun fact, the guy Todd Haug that I was telling you about, who was the head brewer for Surly. So when he parted ways with them, he actually went to Three Floyds. That's where he still is now. And then I also did think of the name, the band that he was in, is Power Mad.
Okay, yeah, that was another band that Three Floyds did a collab with as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I sort of remembered that name when you mentioned it, but I couldn't place it. But yeah, they did a collab with Power Mad as well. But yeah, good game all around. Everybody tried their best. I hope everybody had fun.
I mean, you obviously put a lot of work into that whole thing.
A
lot of R&D a lot of research you had to do on that.
Yeah. Hey, David, if you're new, you're new to the show, but that's the way these games go, is I put a lot of research into making people fail.
Yeah.
It's mainly me.
Yes. It's a personal pleasure because I'm just trying to expand your horizons, Adam. I'm trying to give new things into your world.
Well, you have done that.
Yeah. So I inject a lot of crazy horror movie and metal trivia into your brain. But
so thank you.
You're welcome. With that though, let's come back to David. And David, just feel free to tell us about all of the places people can find you, your projects coming up, any websites, social media, anything else you want to plug. Now's your time.
Yeah, most things on social media just fall under my full name, David Paul Seymour, which I still, no one who knows me, like our good friends or family, call me that, just because like it's my middle name, but like it's so funny. Like I think it sounds ridiculous, but like I came up with that 15 years ago when I first got on the internet with my stuff and realized there was a photographer named David Seymour from back in the 40s and 50s who was really famous. So I was like, I don't know, maybe smart enough to realize I would never come up in any Google searches that way. So, being in architecture, I'm like, oh, David Paul Seymour sounds kind of like Frank Lloyd Wright. So, but anyway, so, it's just David Paul Seymour for Instagram, Facebook, and those kinds of things. We also, theplanetofdoom.com, for the movie. As far as the book goes, follow me on social media. I'll definitely be making it very clear when that book is out. So,
and does that book have a different title from Kumasan, or is it?
No, it's called Kumasan. It's actually going to be a series if things go well. The first book deals with the first sort of arch villain, and the first book is called Kumasan, the Legend of Blackwing. So.
Right on. Awesome. Well, we'll be on the lookout for that. Greg, do you have anything to plug or just you want to shout out a North Carolina brewery other than Burial if you want?
Nothing to plug, but I'd like to shout out the fact that I'm on a podcast with David Paul Seymour right now, and I do follow you on Instagram, and I think your artwork's amazing, and thank you for taking the time to be on this podcast. It's great.
Hey, thank you, man. Thanks to all of you guys for having me on, man. I really enjoy these kind of things. I don't get to do them nearly enough.
Oh yeah, well, thanks for coming on. I mean, just a quick shout out to the 16-ounce artist who does an entire podcast featuring everybody who's a can artist. You're honestly the first one that we featured on our show. We focus usually more on brewery, but we try to do brewery adjacent people as well. And we just love your artwork so much that we couldn't deny to have you on first as kind of the first person that we interviewed. But yeah, the 16-ounce artist, his podcast, features everybody in the beer world who does can art. So yeah.
And just to clarify, it's 16-ounce canvas.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
16-ounce canvas.
I just want to make sure, so if anybody goes looking for it, they know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, AJ will be mad if we. But, otherwise for us, if you want to find us on social media, all you have to do is search Hop Nation USA. That'll get you Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you want to listen to brand new episodes of the Hop Nation USA podcast every Friday, as you should, then search Hop Nation USA on your favorite podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, anything that starts in pod and ends in cast, we're there. And if you're on any of those platforms, leave a 5-star review because
we are a 6 skillet show, but they only let us use 5.
That's a bigger crime than nobody knowing that Obituary was doing beer collabs. But yeah, again, thanks to David for coming on the show. We love your artwork and we love what you're doing outside of the world of beer as well. So we look forward to seeing more from you.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. We don't think we're going to get to Asheville or anywhere again this year, but try to find each other next time we come out, have a beer.
It sounds like a great plan, but I am on the other end of the state. I am on the coast. I'm in 45 minutes north of Myrtle Beach to give you an idea where I'm at. Okay. But come on out for a vacation. We can set something up. There's some good shit to drink out here.
Sounds good, man.
And if Brutal Beer Fest ever comes back, which was our heavy metal and beer festival, if that ever comes back, maybe that can entice you to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, never been, so that would be great.
Yeah, and thank you to Greg for coming on the show. I know you're dodging hurricanes right now. That's
we are, but I don't think it's going to hit us for about another 3 hours. I think I'm good. You got
at least 2 more beers to drink before the hurricane hits, so you're in good shape.
2, those are rookie numbers.
But yes, thank you for supplying the beers. Thank you for coming on the show. I mean,
absolutely,
come on,
for sure.
This is a good time. Everybody's great. So thank you.
Yeah,
indeed. So come on back next week, episode 210. We'll have something new for you, as we always do. Probably won't be on Zoom, but we'll have something new.
And we'll have beer.
Yeah. We'll have good times.
So thank you. You'll hear us next week.
Goodbye.
Yes, I appreciate it. Have a great night.